Okay, guys. Hi, guys. We're just going to get started here. It's good old me, Cord Rotnowski, Yankee T News on Monday, 8th of January, the year of our Lord 2026. A shout out to Steve Bannon and all the other fighters out there. Boy, we got a long list. I've had to change things up a little bit, I have to tell you. I'm going to start in with the big one. There is a claim, there are reports that this gentleman is no longer with us. That would be General Ahmadvedi. Now, shortly after all the chaos that developed in the IRGC leadership, he was one of three that emerged as those in control. And as time passed, it seemed like he was becoming stronger and more prominent. I mean, you still had Galif, what was his name, the Speaker of the House, representing a civilian point of view, and he tried to resign, but this guy here would have refused. So nonetheless, there are reports that he's dead. We don't know if these reports are true, but it's so said. If it is true, I'll tell you, that puts a real monkey wrench into how they function. Oh my goodness. So my bet is he probably is dead, and we'll find out in due time. Okay. So this just came up. So I didn't even have time to, do anything more than report the event to you. Meantime, let me just go through a couple of things here. I'm going to deal with my wonderful. This is actually a draft of the notes for today. The first thing I want to get into, anyway. Let me just get a rant off my chest, okay? It will be quick. There's this constant back and forth about who's firing on who and who's responsible for what. And now the latest is that the Israelis have stopped firing and the Iranians have stopped firing. Yet, in the middle of this, what happens? We find that that the leader Vahedi might have been killed. Who knew? All right, so it's all kind of on hold, but it's worth noting that even though this seems to have given the appearance of calming down, which it has not, now you have the Houthis suddenly speaking up and say, we're going to stop any Israeli ship or affiliated ship that tries to sneak through the Red Sea from our position. Interesting. And I just see this as an act of desperation by the Iranians, but that's just me. Meantime, we have a report that the Americans have essentially established a sea lane from which mines have been cleared for on the Oman side of the Strait of Hormuz. And roughly 100 ships a day are getting through, including some carrying oil. And President Trump has made the argument that part of the reason we have $97 barrel oil, not $300 barrel oil, is that some amount of oil is managing to get through the Hormuz Strait by turning off the transponders and being as far away from the Iranians as possible. So it seems like there is a system that's working, although it's not working 100% yet. We think we can expect more. The other part, another little known factoid that you should plug in, reportedly 70% of the oil that the Saudis pump has been now redirected toward their port in the Red Sea. 70%. It seems like with each passing day, what the Iranians try to do becomes less and less relevant. And speaking of less and less relevant, yep, that's right. The Iranian rial continues to decline in value. It's not even worth talking about. I've mentioned that before. Anyway, the sense is that things are getting worse. Don't know if it's true, but of course the other big thing are the desertions by the members of the Artesh army and the IRGC army. So if that's true, okay, this just creates more problems. Then a couple of days ago, we had the demonstrations in the streets with the students. So it just feels like the pressure is rising bit and bit. Operation Economic Fury is having an effect. I mean, it just not the kind of dramatic effect a lot of us would like to see, but it's definitely beginning to hurt. So that's what I'm going to say about Iran for now. And then the other part is, again, just a quick update on Ukraine. There was, the Russians have been trying to attack the Odessa seaport quite a bit to no effect. And then we have the news about the Ukrainians having sent, 140 drones to attack St. Petersburg. So again, these are just things that are in the news. We have to assume there's a lot going on underneath the surface that we will maybe find out about later and is only causing problems for the Soviets. I mean, the Russians. Boy, am I living in the past now. Any kahoozy. Okay, so what is the other part here? I have to comment, since I'm in Connecticut, I've got to say a few things here. All right, I didn't hit a phrase for Mr. Tong, but our Attorney General, who is running for re-election, might have to consider that events are going to change considerably over the next couple of months, not the least of which is the federal lawsuit brought against him and the city of New Haven concerning sanctuary city status. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles it. I don't think he's going to handle it well. And then the other thing is they started this editorial here. Connecticut leans into authoritarianism. We are seeing too many examples where, led by the legislature, there is a clear trend in the state towards more and more laws they're like thin slivers, okay? Thin slivers of authoritarianism that's being imposed on the people in Connecticut. Although significant. I mean, the one that gets me is what I'll call the vaccine bill, for lack of a better term. The key feature of that, what nobody talks about, is how, as I want to say, there's a process, okay? There's a legislative process for evaluating different proposals involving healthcare policy. They have now taken that process and eliminated it. So what used to be process is now an item of control on the health commissioner's checklist without any opportunity for you or me to stand up and complain about it. All right, that's authoritarian. That's right. I don't know what else to call it. And the anti-homeschooling bill, pretty much in the same vein. Although, as I continue, I'm a student of all things education, and as I continue to learn more about the history of public education in this country and the changes that we've gone through, what we're seeing here with this assault on homeschooling is part of a much larger problem. And the way I want to characterize this in 30 seconds or less is that within the, starting with the family, within the American culture, there is what I would call a healthy, constant drive to get a good education. Now, I call good classical, call it comprehensive, anything but propagandizing your children. And it touches on so many things. But in Connecticut, a homeschooling community is emerging, and the state of Connecticut is trying to destroy it. So count on me to be on the side of those who are going to fight to keep this homeschooling community alive and have it flourish, even under oppression from the state government. All right, so I got homeschooling, the vaccine. Okay, now another one here that's a real problem. Well, they're all problems, but this one is kind of unique. But it just shows you what they're really like, okay? You cannot trust these people. We have what's supposed to be called a Freedom of Information Act. When you want to request records from the state government, you're supposed to be able to get them, whatever proceedings, commissions, reports, whatever, you should be able to get them. Well, those within the state are tired. They're so fed up with us peons actually having the nerve to ask for this information. So they keep trying to come up with rules to prevent us from getting this information. But now we have hit a new level of ridiculous. In effect, you have Governor Ned Lamont suing himself, in effect, to prevent access to Freedom of Information Act for Freedom of Information Act requests. He is suing his own agency, all right, in order to reduce the level of transparency for these documents. You can't make this stuff up. So to me, this is just one more example of how there is this slide towards authoritarianism, tyranny, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, you can simplify it and just say their version of political power requires that you be kept out of it. And this is just more of that. All right. Anyway, so I got out of those things. Let's see here. What else can I do? I got more, believe me. Oh boy. Okay. This is something else. And I have something to add to this with the time that I have. I'm going to try and cut this short. Yeah. Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News did a piece on a report that has blown the lid off of the extent of the fraud that is going on around H-1B visas. It's something like 11, 12, 13 universities in India have been found to be responsible for issuing over 100,000 fake, that's the word, fake certificates that students buy for anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000, and then they turn around and use that fake certificate to apply for an H-1B visa in America. So the thing that gets me about this, right? So right now I'm just picking on the universities and the students, they're doing it. But on the receiving end, we have a system in this country that fails to do its job. It does not vet, it does not check, it does not certify. All right. It's the equivalent of not asking for a voter ID when you go to vote. They just take the information and they don't bother. Okay. So, and who cares? Or who doesn't care? That would be the corporations. So you got the universities in India, you got the students, you got the government agencies and the NGOs that are involved and the corporations all conspiring together in one form or another to make sure that these fraudulent people come in and steal American jobs. It is outrageous. I've said this time and time again. I'm going to say it again. This must go completely. You vaporize this. It's outrageous what's being done to our own people. So I just had to get that off my chest here. Now, Connecticut election fraud. I talked last week about Matthew Wagner, the Democrat registrar in Fairfield, and all the crap that he's done. I just want to bring up Wanda again. You can count on Wanda to be in the news again soon. The election fraud in Connecticut will continue. And I just want to add, by the way, people have observed that Connecticut and California have some funny relationship. It seems that Connecticut tries to follow the legislative trends in California. Well, how about another one, following the election fraud trends in California? There was a good video, gave 6 reasons why election fraud is so easy in California. We don't have them all in Connecticut, but you can be sure they're pushing for them. I'm going to make this argument right now, right here. The implementation of what are called no excuse ballots, which I say are if there's no excuse for an absentee ballot, how is that different from a mail-in ballot? You're just requesting a mail-in ballot. And look for fraud. There will be tons of it when that finally gets rolling. All right, so there's that. And now the special that I've been holding out on you for, sorry, I had to do it, is the ultimate contradiction. So let's deal with contradiction part number 1 right here. Right, I've been seeing these reports about debt, consumer debt in America. So here's the number. Consumer debt in America is at a record level of $5.14 trillion. That's unbelievable. Just what? It's a big number. That would be trillion, not billion, trillion. Then a part of that, so there's what you call revolving debt and non-revolving debt. A mortgage would be non-revolving debt. It's a lump sum you're paying off. Revolving debt would be more like a line of credit, and you can keep paying it off and keep using it. So revolving debt, as they say, reflecting credit card balances, has surged to a record of 1.4 trillion. So that 1.4 trillion, I believe, is a subset of the 5.14 trillion. So let's see if there's another part here to show you. Okay, now, so here's the data from our friends, and they show here how it's changed. So let's just follow the bouncing ball here quickly, and then I got to get out of here. 2021, 5.7, 7.7 in 2022. And then now we're up to total percent, or I'm sorry, these are percentage changes, but let's go with the totals. All right, so total outstanding, 4.5, 4.8, 4.9, 4.9, and now over 5. So there's this clear upward trend, all right? And the same here, let's look at car loans, 4.8, 5.36, 7.88. Then it went down, then went back up again. Wait, right there, 7.64, that's where we're going to stop. The take-home message here is that the average consumer is in trouble, all right? With a debt like that, what are you supposed to do, okay? So let me go to the next part. All right, so what I'm trying to get to is there's a contradiction. Contradiction is that on the one hand, you have record debt, but on the other hand, you have record hiring. Okay, so the latest that we were given here, what was it? 172,000 jobs net gain in May, all right? And they've had to up their estimates for April and May as well. But here, let's look at this chart. All right, so there's I'm not quite sure how to analyze this, but I'm presenting it to you for your consideration. So the good news is 174,000 fewer government jobs. Not clear if that includes state level jobs, but it's less. Financial activities, that's an odd one. Fewer bankers, fewer mortgage brokers, I don't know. Fewer nerds, I don't know, all right? But then let's just jump down to these big numbers here. Leisure and hospitality and private education and health services. Now, I don't have an analysis for those either, folks, so I just want you to have a look at this and to see how big it's gotten or how big it was. And so I don't know, like the leisure and hospitality, could this represent some kind of seasonal increase for the summer? Hard to say. But I mean, health services to me is just further sign, our population is aging. And so there's a need for more services for the elderly. And I think this reflects that. Okay, but the problem is jobs are up, debt is up. How can you have greater consumer debt while more people are getting hired? Yeah, inflation, maybe that's the explanation. Anyway, hopefully we'll get some feedback later from people, and we can hopefully get to the bottom of that. So that's it for me for now. Thank you so much, and I'll be back later. And look out for more little updates that I'll be sending out. And there